Guys, it is becoming increasingly more obvious day after day that the XRPL is not only just part of the new financial system, it is the new financial system utilizing XRP as the native asset to bridge the world financially. And in this video, I want to talk about some very obvious takes on this. And although sometimes it seems as though it should be easy to just sit back, enjoy the ride, and be patient, wait for the fireworks to go off that we know are coming our way, it is increasingly hard as well, as we are so eager to make our riches off digital assets like XRP. Now in this video, guys, I want to talk to you about where we are going with this. All I ever ask is if you like talking XRP, XLM, digital assets and more, you know what to do. Go ahead, drop an X in the comment section, smash that like button and share the video. Let others know far and wide what is truly happening here in this digital revolution. As I want to start with obvious factor number one. I'll keep this quick. I do value your guys' time. Smart, faster payments shows this floor where Ripple, their office, right, is sitting next to the Federal Reserve. Now, along with that, not only that, but along with that, Ripple payments partners and clients. We are talking ACI Worldwide, Finastra, FIS, Volante Technologies, and more, who have been working with the Federal Reserve, right, on FedNow. And so as we see the system unfolding in front of us, we have to first understand that Ripple is a part of the bigger picture. We know that they're working with the Federal Reserve. Yesterday, we saw a massive rally for HBAR, Hedera, on some news that was kind of overhyped and sent HBAR absolutely roaring in regards to what was said about BlackRock. Now, I talked to you a little bit about how Ripple has been incredibly close to BlackRock for years. They're incredibly close to the Federal Reserve. What happens to XRP when it comes out exactly what their plans are and what they've been working on for years? Now, the regular folk out there that don't have the time to sit down and watch these videos every day and do the research and have a picture painted in front of them so they can clearly see and see the obvious, it's hard for them to see the bigger picture because all they are looking at is the small fluctuations in price, sitting around 50 cents. Normal people out there that don't do their DD, their due diligence and research, just flat out do not understand it. And so that's why us as a community need to push this information out there so others can see the obvious. As we see, Ripple is a silver sponsor at the Smarter, Faster Payments 2024 next to who? The Federal Reserve Financial Services. Now, along with that, when we pull up the mainstream media, which, as I've said for a long time now, guys, one of the big reasons I got into YouTube initially years ago is because I want to tell the truth, because the mass media typically does not. But you can see signs there and you can see the obvious if you look close enough. And what we are seeing is the logo of Ripple here as Fox Business puts out the title, Impact of Bitcoin ETFs on the Crypto Landscape. Could it be more obvious? Why didn't they just use a Bitcoin logo? Moving on, guys, we've got 40 additional countries now with applications to join BRICS. We saw just the past couple days how they are looking at stable coins. We know that Ripple's been talking to BRICS for years and years. Whoever is accepted at the meeting later this year would be adopted into the group in January 2025. Now, I do want to touch on stable coins here in a second, how everything is tied together. We're going after not just cross-border payments, but we have to remember we are now going after the multi-trillion-dollar business of stable coins. I want to first start with this little clip by David SCHWARTZ himself, the CTO of Ripple.
In some digital assets, stablecoins are safer to hold if you can trust the issuer. So I think to that extent, it can be helpful because that you still need liquidity. So if you imagine a dollar stable coin issued by JPM and you have maybe some other dollar coins issued by companies like Circle and everybody seems to be issuing a stable coin. And then you have stable coins in other currencies because if you're not in the United States, a dollar coin is not really all that stable. You still need liquidity between those stable coins. And I think it's also important to remember that these stable coins have counterparties and there isn't a universal counterparty. There isn't some counterparty that everybody in the world can have equal access to. It's going to have to be in some jurisdiction. It's going to have to be part of some regulatory regime. regime. And so I think if the vision is this sort of open participation, this sort of internet of money, collateralized stablecoins will be players, but I think there will still have to be liquidity between them. And if you imagine dozens of stablecoins, hundreds and hundreds of markets is probably not going to be as efficient as going through some sort of assets that aggregate, like the dollar does today. The dollar sort of aggregates demand for smaller currencies. And we see XRP playing that role.
Now, guys, we just a few days ago saw the stablecoin bill come out that they're trying to get through Congress. Lumens and Gillibrand bill, which they are trying to make act happen in just a few weeks. I do fully believe that we are going to see regulatory clarity in some form or fashion. First on stablecoins this year, as that's what they're after. But I believe it's going to happen this year in some form or fashion. Hopefully they get it right. But those individuals that are pushing the bills like Lumens and Gillibrand are making it so stablecoin providers, issuers like Ripple now are going to be beneficiaries, as it would establish clear rules of the road. And we've heard Brad Garlinghouse say how many times that the SEC has not been clear on what regulatory actions they need to take. So they've taken every regulatory compliance actions they've been told to take, as well as became compliant with the other 95% of their business that's done out of the US. But what this will allow is it would be a symbolic significant for crypto in general, as it would be the first constructive crypto legislation from Congress. So as we talk about the Federal Reserve and Ripple working extremely closely, don't you think there have been some closed door meetings where they've sat back and said, okay, this is the future. Obviously, the digital revolution is happening. It takes a little while to make a complete transfer of the financial system for obvious reasons. You've got to do it in a safe, compliant way. So this, again, like I said the other day, guys, wasn't thought of yesterday or the day before. This has been in the works for years and years. Ripple has been in the works with these banks, these institutions for years and years, and the Federal Reserve. And so Ripple's new stablecoin will be issued on not just the XRPL, but Ethereum networks at first. And the main goal here, guys, is to drive liquidity, developers, and users to XRPL. So again, this is going to bring more use case utility to the XRPL, which is also, of course, drive the price of XRP up over time as well, because that is the native asset. That is the digital asset that is coded into it all. Now, it joins the growing stablecoin market in which crypto tokens are pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar and backed by US dollar deposits and treasuries. And so that brings me to my next point. As we see the government's recent bond auction challenges and global trends such as countries slowing purchases of US treasuries, guys, what does this suggest? A need for an alternative solution to maintain the US dollar's demand. And so again, have they not been working with the Federal Reserve when their office is right next door? But Ripple's ongoing battle with the SEC has been nothing more than smoke and mirrors. It's almost out of the way. And I believe once we get this case over with, now we can move ahead with some clarity. The stablecoin launch is also going to add increased adoption to the XRPL, and that is going to pave the way for an XRP ETF. That is going to be bringing tremendous value to the ecosystem and XRP specifically, as we've heard Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse saying he views the stable coins as a natural step to bridge the traditional finance and crypto. Why have they spent all this time getting all the licensing throughout North America and other continents all over the world to set this up perfectly and beautifully? And it's just been an absolutely masterful, genius move. If you sit back and think about this, guys, how brilliant are these folks that have been literally taking every step of the way seriously, embedding themselves into the financial system through banks and international financial institutions, saying this is the way. We're not trying to push them out of the way. We're just simply trying to enhance the system, bring it to a digitized and decentralized economy. As we see Bitcoin returns after halvings, you take a look at the top here, we have halving 2 2016 and then halving 3 2020. Now, as I've been saying on on the show for months now, really, is that you're not going to see a big pump after the Bitcoin halving. In fact, you would see even a small dump, as typically the month after Bitcoin halving, you're only seeing about a 1 to 2% gain on average after Bitcoin halvings. But what you will see, and you see on this chart, is an increase over time as the demand stays the same and the supply is diminished. Where if you look out 9 months, which would put us around January to February 2025, having 3 in 2020 was a 458% gain. And that is Bitcoin, guys. We're not talking altcoins that obviously have way more room to run. And then you put adoption of not just cross-border payments, but stablecoin adoption as well. You open the floodgates for trillions of value to come into the ecosystem, on top of the SEC being out of the way, on top of an ETF. I am incredibly bullish for XRP. And I get it, guys. Sometimes it's incredibly hard to be patient, even though it seems like it should be very easy to just buy and simply hold. Many of us out here have been in for years, and we are ready. I think our time is getting close. And as I said yesterday, guys, the finish line is close. But more importantly, I believe we are going to take first place. Don't forget to turn on those notification bells. Drop a like if you do support XRP content, and we'll see you all in the next one.